Welcome back to Derailed. Thank you so much for joining us today. You may notice that you can't see my beautiful face. Well, you can, but it's just a photo. I broke my webcam, apparently. So hoping that by next week I'll have that sorted out. And I probably could have gotten it fixed, honestly, if I hadn't gotten such a late start trying to get the webcam working. I gave myself like 9 minutes to do so, and that wasn't a lot of time, so I apologize. Um, Also, we didn't do a stream last week, and the previous derailed stream that we did, we kind of crapped all over the Wisconsin Badgers, and now they've won two straight. So, first of all, Badgers fans, you're welcome. We did that for you because we love you. All right. We gave them the reverse derailed jinx. So yeah, there you go. So we do probably owe Wisconsin an apology, and we're gonna have to re-rank them and figure
Yeah.
out where they really belong now in the week 8 rankings or post week 7 rankings. I guess it's not really the same thing as week 8. Anyways, Jake,
Yeah.
thoughts on our reverse jinx for the Badgers? I think we executed it pretty darn flawlessly.
Yeah, I think all we talked about between that stream and then the week that trying to figure out if we were going to be able to do it last week was, man, do we owe Wisconsin an apology after they thrashed Purdue, and then they come out and thrash Rutgers, a team that we both, I think, thought was going to be pretty good. So
I mean, there's a big asterisk next to both of those, especially the Rutgers one. But I do not say that to take away from what Wisconsin did. I do say that to kind of defend my Rutgers pick.
that is
Rutgers
fine.
is missing like half their roster right now. So,
That is fine, but I will say the travel stuff
mm, yeah.
has seemed to play out pretty well in favor of home teams to this point. I think Wisconsin kind of broke it. Penn State was on that route until the second half, but we've kind of seen that where teams are taking these trips out west, out east, and it hasn't looked as sharp. It'll be interesting to see what UCLA does this week at Rutgers. That's about as far as you can possibly go in terms of Big Ten travel. But you saw Michigan kind of drop one at Washington. Washington gets destroyed by Iowa traveling out to the Midwest. Like, you're kind of seeing that. Does that mean that Oregon is going to have trouble with Purdue on Friday night? Not necessarily, but we shall see. It's something we have to keep tabs on. But yes, Wisconsin, I think, has pushed themselves out of the idea of relegation to this point. We'll see what happens down the stretch, but I think the relegation talk can kind of be over for them. Might be
We
talking
were
about a new
this
team.
close to replacing Wisconsin with Boise State. Just saying.
So while I apologize for Wisconsin takes, I happy to say that I was not in favor of relegation mid-season, and luckily we all didn't go down that rabbit hole. But
I think
there
it
you
was
go.
the 2019 Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, that completely pushed me into the camp of you got to give a team the full season before you relegate them. I think that was the year that the Dolphins were bottoming out. Uh, if you were playing your defense against them in fantasy, you were going to drop a 40 burger, and then at
Yeah,
the end of the season, they just shellac the Patriots. You get the Miami Miracle, all that. That was so much fun.
yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
true.
gotta give a team a hold the
Never
whole
know.
season before relegating
Yeah.
them.
Yep. It's true. Even though JJ before the show said we got to find a way to get Boise State near, which it feels like Boise State does belong in that. But they'll earn their spot and probably a pretty nice spot in the next year's preseason rankings. if they make the playoffs. So we're on watch with Boise State for sure.
Oh, look at that. We got our first comment. It's from Jake. I didn't realize that how that was going to
That's
happen.
probably how. Yeah.
That was me. I put
Yeah.
that there. I didn't
There you
realize it
go.
was going to say Jake when I did it.
Yeah. I think it's. I don't know why that is, but maybe because it doesn't have the. I don't know. Anyway.
Well,
Let's.
I feel like we should talk about the Packers because the Packers put together a heck of a performance against the Cardinals. The defense turned in an interesting performance. It was fun to watch. It was certainly fun to watch. And then on review, I thought there was some real hot and real cold. Lucas Van Ness was a little hard to watch. Kenny Clark, hard to watch, although he did have that nice forced fumble. But how about your guy, number 33, our rookie sensation? Talk about your boy, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is. Evan Williams is acclimating himself very quickly in this defense, and with a guy, I think that many kind of describe him as, when you talk to when Oregon coaches spoke about him, and a lot of that was just like he is smart, he is instinctive, and he's going to make plays should opportunity arise, and he has done that in these last couple weeks now. And when you have a player like that, good tackler, good fitter against the run, disciplined, instinctive, assignment oriented, it gives you that freedom to put Xavier McKinney on the back end and basically let him cook in coverage. So they haven't had to do a ton of rotating around. I know they still have that occasional late right at snap rotations with McKinney that they still like to do in spurts, but it gives the safety room when Williams plays like this such a high floor in terms of how they can play, how they can deploy their coverages, right? And yeah, it opens up a lot of possibilities. And when you're playing coverage that well, it should, in theory, be helping out the pass rush. But that's another conversation. So
Well, dude, Evan Williams, you have hyped him up quite a bit when talking to me. And I was such a late boarder of that train. All right. Javon Bullard, I liked when I scouted
yeah,
him. Katan Oladapo, of course, I was all over.
for sure.
Evan Williams, as recently as 2 weeks ago, I was just meh on. And man, I'm just enjoying the way he's been playing. Just been enjoying it so much. And I hope that it is sustained. I hope that we just have another stud here.
Yeah,
You know who he reminds me of? He's like the defensive version of Dontavian Wicks. We drafted Wicks, and I was just like, man, I just don't see it. But whatever. He's wearing a green and gold jersey. I'll root for him. I just don't see
yeah.
it. And then, dang it, if he isn't just kind of a mid-round stud.
Never Goody is basically just now tripling down essentially on like, hey, you want to keep doubting me in the fourth round? Go ahead. Go ahead. Because yeah, I mean, I think it was very clear in terms of how Packers fans reacted, and all the analysts and everybody when talking about Green Bay's picks, going, yes, Bullard, that makes sense. A little smaller than they usually go at safety, but they really, it's easy to see why you like a player like Bullard, and from all of the metrics and the grading and so much of exciting play, you go, yeah, we really like Katan Oladapo. Like he's been really good at Oregon State, and Evan Williams is kind of going under the radar because he had interceptions and ball production at his last year at Fresno State, but not as much at Oregon. And it was kind of like, okay, we're not seeing these splash plays because people love to share highlights. But when you watch Evan Williams play in his last year at Oregon, simply not as many opportunities to make plays because he's in the right spot, because he's doing what is asked of him. And it's just easy to see how that stuff can translate. Instincts and enough athleticism put together equals, quality play. And the fact that we're getting that as a rookie and what he is, where he's, sort of graded at from PFF and where people are, kind of like looking at him now, it's kind of crazy that we're here. I think it was from preseason, from camp, all of that, it was very clear that it was like, oh yeah, Green Bay likes this guy. He's clearly going to get on the field. You could see some impact from him, in spurts as a rookie. To now, it's just okay. Yeah, he's even blowing those expectations out of the water from camp, and the expectations are rising and rising quickly for him. But man, this was mentioned a couple times, probably from a couple of us. I think is just when you have McKinney, you're bringing him in on the 4-year deal, and then you have these rookies. The safety room could look really good for like 8 years potentially, based on kind of what we're seeing already from this unit. So it's exciting, and they're really anchoring back 7 play right now. So that's going to be critical the rest of the season. The NFC North has become a gauntlet.
Oh my gosh, you're not kidding. The Packers are in last position
last
in our division. And there's, I think the stat was there's 5 other divisions in the NFL where they would be in number 1 or tied for number 1.
Yeah. And so, like, with the NFC North doing what they're doing, like, there's going to be a lot of heavyweight fights down the stretch of this season. And having a good coverage unit when you're going to play the Lions, you're going to play the Vikings again, you got the Bears twice. Having that is going to be massive. And to see rookies coming in and going, yeah, I can play a little bit like a veteran right now in this defense is insane. Hopefully it doesn't ruin expectations for rookies. Other guys develop at different paces. We need to realize that. So you got to kind of take it player by player. But man, it's hard not to be excited. It's got me thinking about, how a really, really good corner 2 can in next year's draft could really round out this unit on the back end and make them even more dangerous. So yeah, I'm excited. But yes, I'm sure we're going to be talking about the North Gauntlet pretty quickly here because it is something else.
I think we've gone long enough without talking about the FedEx Air and Ground Player of the Week, Mr. Jordan Love. I
Heck yeah.
think this was clearly his arrival game of the 2024 season.
For sure.
I don't think anybody is or should be upset with the slow start he had to the year, given the fact that a lot of us thought he was going to be out for the whole year and are amazed he can walk. So to see him playing this well in week 6, right? Week 6,
Yeah.
just crazy. And he's is he tied for first or tied for second in the league in touchdown passes? I forget.
I think it's tied for second, I want to say.
For a guy who missed 2 weeks,
Yeah.
just about had his leg broken off, and to be in the position he's in,
Yeah.
he was pretty much perfect. Pretty much a masterclass against the Cardinals. You look at some of the throws that he made, and there was an element that I had kind of forgotten that we saw from him last year, which was that he was doing the Aaron Rodgers thing where he was making the crazy throws look super easy. Like he completes a pass and you're like, dude, I don't know what people are talking about. Like offense is so easy. Look, you just drop the ball right here, boom, guy's open, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, no. To throw the ball that far across the field with that timing into that tiny little basket, and he just makes it look effortless.
Yeah.
And I think I needed to see that because, look, the Philly game wasn't great, and we had a lot of questions after that game about, like, hey, how much of Jordan's struggles were the turf? How much of it was the offensive line? How much of it was the drops? How much of it is just him kind of needing to get into the groove of the season? Then he's out for a couple weeks, then he comes back and he's, needs to knock off some of the rust.
Yeah.
And seeing what we saw from him against Arizona, I was like, oh, yeah, that's why we paid him. That's why he is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And it's just such a blessing.
Yeah.
It's such a blessing to have him back.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely the arrival game. Yeah, I don't know why PFF's got his passing grade at a 69. That's interesting. Obviously, I think they only credit him with one big time throw, and it has to be the 4th and 2 to Watson. It has to be. That's the big time throw if there was one in that. If there was only one in that game, threading that needle is insane. Just not many people going to test that window. So when you have precision with the aggressiveness and the confidence, boy, that is a dangerous concoction for opposing defenses. Because we've seen it, right? The turnover worthy plays are an issue, and have certainly were ones. The Ram game, that is. I mean, there's not much to say about that pick six that hasn't been said already. But testing windows he probably shouldn't have in the Minnesota game and a little bit in the Philly game, and it's kind of like, all right, settle down, take some stuff, build a rhythm, and take and really calculate when you're going to take your shots and make throws like that. And he did a really good job. And I think the one thing I think some people have done a good job of kind of talking about this, that second touchdown to Dobbs against the zero blitz, people are like, oh yeah, people are going to hype that up as a good throw. Buddy, it is. He gave Dobbs a chance to make a play on it off the back foot, right on the sideline, front corner, near the pylon, where there's no way a corner is going to turn around and make that play. Only Dobbs is going to be able to turn around and make that play of the two players in the area. So to be picking trick shots like that, to be throwing with precision, to be throwing in rhythm, unfortunate interception, right? The field was a little wet. That happens, but yeah, he's moved in the right direction. They're this week's going to be interesting with Houston. However, the secondary is a little beat up. Stingley's been kind of up and down this year, so it really could be a full steam ahead situation for him.
Well, CJ Stroud was talking about this upcoming game and highlighting that if the Houston offense wants to win this game, they have to protect the football. And I do think this is going to be a game with pretty tight margins. I think that both defenses, sure, you can pick on a little bit there, but they are good enough, and I think we'll put together a good enough performance this week that the team who makes fewer mistakes is going to win the game. I mean, I do think the Packers are going to win. I have them favored by about 3 points. But it's going to be close for sure.
Yeah, it will be a very tight game. I think I don't know what Hafley's going to have up his sleeve. I feel like I feel like a lot of the single high stuff, even though they're it's obviously not necessarily man all the time. You're in 3. They give you some you can spin some interesting stuff off of 3 to mix things up, but also this Texans team. They're gonna run. Bobby Slowick is run pass until you force him otherwise. So,
well, they just got Damian Pierce back too. They've been missing
Pierce,
that RB2 rotational option, and he's such a reliable rotational guy. To come in and spell Mixon, and that's going to allow them to commit to the run game the whole day.
Yeah, I think Pierce is built to take the hits, shrug off hits. Don't love him when you have zone run on. He is his lack of explosiveness and some of that indecisiveness gets him into trouble with zone. So that's why it'd be great if Mixon was out. But the one thing Pierce will do is he's going to make everybody have to show up and tackle. So yeah, I think Green Bay again. it's still consistently an issue that this front four needs to, no matter who's in or out in the rotation on any given play, there needs to be some step up here. Just simply because the Texans, even as much of a high scoring team they can be in spurts, they can grind this out, and they will. They would love to limit Green Bay's possessions in this. There's no doubt. They just watched last week. They see what happens after a turnover and how quickly Green Bay can score. They're going to do as much as possible to limit the opportunities Green Bay has offensively. And yeah, it could be, yeah, like you said, the margins are going to be thin in this one. It's, it was a great time for McKinney to have an off week in terms of no interception. Might need it this week.
We have a few people talking in the chat about weaknesses for Green Bay. So Tyler Dershel got the ball rolling. He said last year was wide receiver fix. This year, safety fix. Next year, and I think that one thing in common with wide receiver and safety for those years was that those spots on the roster had kind of been neglected. And the previous year, I had been pounding the table, so it was, 2022, I was saying we need safety help. We need tight end help. 2021, I'm saying, please, can we just take any of these good wide receivers?
Right.
So if you're asking, like, hey, what are we going to finally address next year that we didn't address, well enough this year? I mean, for me, I think it starts with the interior of the offensive line. Now, granted, yeah, we took Jordan Morgan. Yeah, we took Jacob Monk. So maybe that is the answer. Maybe next year they rounded a form, and there you go.
Yeah.
I still think that the interior of the offensive line is the biggest weakness that we have. And even if you can cobble together a starting five that you really like, which I kind of can't, but if you can cobble together that starting five, man, you're an injury away from being in a lot of trouble. And it's a long season, got a 17-game regular season. Who knows how many playoff games you have? Man, you are really asking for a lot of luck to make it through that whole gauntlet and not be missing anybody on the offensive line. Because, so I'm looking at it and saying, hey, I think we got four guys on the offensive line I really like. And, maybe we can find a fifth guy who can be good enough. But, man, you're missing one of those, and you start plugging in somebody who, frankly, is just not ready to be on the field right now. That's just where I see the position. I do want to address the other comments from the chat, but, sure. Jake, before we hit those, do you want to talk about offensive line at all?
Yeah, I think, I would not be upset if, it's going to be interesting, this draft class, if we're talking about it really. It's funny because the strength really is the tackles don't look great right now in terms of round one, because a lot of the tackles that people are projecting
in next year's draft.
You're not
talking about Zach Tom here.
No. In next year's draft, a lot of these kind of tackles that are being mocked pretty high in a lot of early mocks, a lot of people think they're going to be playing guard. And if that's the case, you could see these guys tumble further than people think than they will, or maybe further than they should. And it could give Green Bay an opportunity to go, yeah, okay, if we interior offensive line help, they've played tackle before. That is such a staple for this team that they could take advantage of that in the first round. There is that possibility. So that's going to be an interesting storyline. I think. If more guys were free agents, I would say defensive line, because it's just something where we were kind of, even last year, and obviously, Van Ness gets picked, right? But we were kind of like, okay, are we going to see maybe some defensive line? If, we kind of talked about that leading up to 2024 draft. It was like, there's a chance we could see it. Like, it's not impossible. But it does feel like the interior of both lines, maybe corner. Otherwise, I think you're in a kind of a there's not going to be too much fix in terms of we're going to just reload this cupboard as full as possible. It could be a year where it feels a little more balanced. So yeah, we'll see.
Tyler, let's see. So Lee says he thinks next year's fix might be a cornerback and interior defensive line.
Yeah.
If we talk about Stokes, where Stokes is at right now, there's a lot of people pretty darn convinced that Stokes is going to be allowed to go test free agency this coming off season.
Yeah.
Let's talk about his performance against the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw something with the separation grade for a lot of the corners to this point. And when you look at where Stokes is grouped with, look who Stokes is grouped with at the moment. A lot of those players, if you listen to other fan bases, are going, yeah, they need something else. So
I think he's really struggled post this injury. You look at, I think the common narrative about Stokes was that he was elite his rookie season, and then to start his second season that he was really struggling. I really saw it the exact opposite. I thought we were giving him some help and some friendly looks his rookie year, and yes, there were moments where he acquitted himself admirably. He had to put him on an island, and hey, he performed admirably. And then year two, everybody wanted his head. I'm like, can we look at his separation? He's number one in the league. He has the best separation. He is playing so tight on everybody. And I think some of the penalties were frustrating people, and he did get burned, one time. But I mean, his speed, I don't think looks the same post injury. And more so than the speed, I think you look at some of his short area quickness and ability to, turn around. He just kind of looks like a different guy than he did before the injury. He doesn't look first round picky at the moment.
Yeah. I remember doing his breakdown after he was drafted. I'm like, he's built to turn and run. He can't get in your face. The transition point was my worry. And when you sap some of that recovery speed because of the injury, the finer points of the transition become that more important in the margins to, where it just feels like we're just not going to get the return from a first round pick. And again, it's going to happen. Nobody's perfect. Just got to admit the misses, move on, get better at it. Goody it will be interesting to see if Goody prioritizes corner. Hasn't made a ton of early corner picks, right? Just has two of them, if memory serves.
Batting
Jair 500.
and Stokes.
Yeah, batting 500.
Well, I mean, I don't know that Stokes was a miss. I think that injury happened so early in his career. Now, I mean, I didn't have a first round grade on Stokes, but I haven't had a first round grade on a lot of the guys we've taken in the first round.
Right.
Quay Walker was my player number 100 in that draft class.
Right.
And we took him at what, 22?
Yes, he did go 22nd. Yeah. So, yeah, I would be in favor of going after corner two in the offseason. In whatever manner Green Bay would like to do that. So, yeah, that's something we're going to be heavily focused on over here from now until April. So, yeah, I think both corner and interior defensive line are places that Green Bay's going to have to explore options.
The disappearance of Colby Wooden has been kind of mystifying. The fact that he just is not getting the playing time.
Yeah.
And I think that with the way the Wyatt and Brooks have been playing, you do still need a third guy that you can lean on. I don't know that there is a third guy on the defense right now besides those two guys who you can lean on. I'm not going to talk about Kenny
Yeah.
because people are tired of hearing me talk about Kenny,
That's fair.
but you need a third guy to step up on the interior of the defensive line. And right now, nobody's doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty clear. Brooks has gotten his feet under him. Wyatt's been very disruptive when he's out there. Just other than that, it's been very, very up and down.
Adam
with
says
a lot of down.
Adam says we should go edge. And Jared Schroeder immediately follows it up with asking if we can trade for Myles Garrett or Max Crosby. Leave. I would love to trade for Myles Garrett, please. So let's just leave out all the details of trading for Max Crosby. Leave all those details aside.
Okay.
Just pretend that the offer was on the table for us at a price that we felt was exactly fair. All right?
Okay.
With the way that our defensive ends have been playing, do you look at the situation and say, what we really need is to drop some more talent in there?
Yeah, probably. I think they can get by. But
I'm just asking about. So Rashawn finally had his first good game of the season. He's been at rock bottom this season. Now,
yeah,
I like Rashawn. I have always been a believer in Rashawn. That has never wavered, even this year. But I can also acknowledge when it's not good enough, and it was certainly not good enough for the first 5 games of the season from Rashawn. Preston has, for the most part, been invisible. Van Ness has not been showing the signs of improvement that you want to see.
Yeah.
And Igbare has kind of been our only pass rusher. When I look at the whole room and everybody is playing at the lowest of their potential, I don't look at it and say, "Hey, this is a talent issue." Sure, we've seen all these guys play at a high level in the past, and all of a sudden, magically, starting this season, they're all terrible. That's just not a thing. It's scheme, it's coaching, we need to figure this out and fix what's not working. So that's just why I'm not really at, hey, what if we dropped Max Crosby on top of all that? Then everything would get fixed.
Yeah. I don't know. The coaching and scheme thing I struggle with a little because
that's not me saying let's change the scheme and fire the coaches.
I agree. I'm just it baffles me that these 270-pound guys are fine with being wide-9 rushers in a 3-4 and can't handle things in a 4-3, which is and when they're at the requisite size for a 4-3. It baffles me. Truly.
It doesn't feel like it's going to be a long-term problem. It feels like we're going to get to the end of the season and look back and go, oh gosh, you remember what it was like before the defensive ends figured their crap out?
Right.
It was terrible.
It very much, it very much could be we were sitting here, last October, the vibes were awful. The vibes were awful last October. Okay.
Well, not just last October, last everything.
Yeah, with the offense.
The offense, sure.
Yeah, with the offense. So it's like they figured it out.
I was thinking about Joe Barry's defense.
No, I gotcha.
I was thinking about that Tampa game, Carolina game.
That's fair. I should have clarified quicker. But yeah, the offense it was like, okay, either they're going to figure this out or there's going to be a big reset, and they figured it out. So yeah, could the defensive ends figure it out? Absolutely. I hope they do. It is just very weird. Because what does that say when you have like what does that say when you have 270-pound guys who do better as 3-4 outside linebackers than 4-3 defensive ends? I just that
it's
picture
like
being painted is just
it's
not
like
a good
when
one.
TJ Slayton sucks at stopping the run and is an elite pass rusher, and you're like, have you looked at yourself? Do you know what type of player you're supposed to be?
Yeah. It's just very weird. It's just like, guys, you guys aren't Dallas Turners or Will McDonald's. Like, that's not who you guys are. Kingsley can get. I think Kingsley's the one who I could, you could go like, yeah, he's kind of he's built to play that way, and he plays that way. But the other three, I mean, this is with all the size and the length and the strength that all these guys have. Like, this should be where this should be where it's working. So very weird.
Tyler Dershel just asked, are we still the number one pass rush when rushing a 5 still? I don't even know where you would get that stat, so I can't look that up.
There's always there's some charts and graphs flowing around, so I'm sure someone can point us in that direction. But
Adam says this defense is most optimal when you can destroy with only 4 rushers. They need more there. Well, that's exactly it. Like, we're not really generating pressure unless we're blitzing.
yeah. I think if both Myles Garrett and Max Crosby were the defensive ends, I think it would be in great shape. Of course, that's just not a reality. To me at least, maybe Cleveland does it. Maybe they do. The Raiders, to me, doing that would be nuts. Personally, not to get too off course here. But,
well, I heard that the Raiders are going to rebuild with Shedeur Sanders next year.
So that's fine. I'm just saying, like, my issue is don't go full Panthers. Don't sell everybody good and then be like, why don't we have good players? We're drafting a lot. It's like, well, you have to draft good. To me, the Raiders have like maybe 4 foundational players. Don't get rid of them. Don't. Draft better. Maybe go a different direction than Telesco, perhaps. Okay? I don't think there's a person last year who would have been like, oh, yeah, it's really tough at 13 to pat. It's like, no, just take Brock Bowers is good. Take him. And they coin flipped. It's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that with Brock Bowers on the board. Don't coin flip. Okay?
Oh, it made me so mad. It made me so mad.
So like that's a problem.
Like, you don't deserve a first round pick if that's the kind of dumb stunt you're gonna pull.
You got to know who you want at that spot. Like, but they have Bowers. Colton Miller is where do I put him on the scale of left tackles? Above average and pretty consistent at above average. He's not elite, but if you can get above average play at left tackle, you should be hanging on to that. And then Christian Wilkins, you just signed him. Really good player when healthy. Those are your 4. You're not trading any of them. You can build this thing if you build it correctly. Just I don't. They cannot turn themselves into the Panthers. So I would not be trading Crosby, and it sounds like they aren't. We'll see what happens. Cleveland's a different story. They have a lot of contracts that are building up there. So I don't know. I don't know what Cleveland would do. It would be hard.
Cleveland would do something stupid.
I would be hard pressed if I were Cleveland personally to keep probably one of the best players in your franchise history, probably on your team, who's still playing at a high level. But what do I know? So
did you see Justina Anderson tweet today? She said something like, random thought, Andrew Barry could have been a big jerk to all these players who left town, but chose not to. And I'm like, okay, doesn't excuse all of the horrible decisions he's made.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, weird.
Like, hey, random thought, Deshaun Watson could be choosing to throw an interception on purpose every single play and decides not to. Whoa.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
But Tyler Dershowitz says he wants to see Mark Davis and his haircut taking pictures with Dion.
There you go. We'll see. They still may be able to do that if they draft Hunter.
Dude,
They're kind of trying.
Hunter's going number one overall.
Yeah.
I want him to, anyways.
Like the Raiders could get there. They're not that far away.
I still think the Titans are picking number one overall. I really do.
It's possible. But the Titans are sharing a division with Jacksonville.
You know, right now all four NFC North teams are in the playoffs. We own all three wild cards.
Oh, to see when they show like if the playoffs ended today, and I saw it today, it was the Bears weren't in there, but
That doesn't make sense. The Bears are ahead of us.
I don't know. That's I don't know if the NFL account officially tweeted it. It was some blue check mark that was
The Bears are ahead of us because they have not played anybody in the division, and we lost against the Vikings. That's why
Right.
we're ranked fourth in the division.
right. Yeah, but that's fine. I'm just telling you what I saw. That's all I can say at this point.
So one thing that we do have to do is re-rank our northern teams.
We do. That is true. That is true.
So last time that we did this, I'm trying to think how I can share both of my screens here. So here's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to hide my stream window. So you're gonna have to man the chat.
Shouldn't be a problem.
This is not as easy as it sounds. All right, I think I got it.
Okay. Yeah, this is Adam Huddle making a good point. Yes, the Bears haven't quite played anyone great yet. That is true.
You know,
Um,
their last two games, the offense has been just on a tear.
They
And they
have.
played, I think, the number 32 and 31 defenses in the league. And then their
Yeah.
next three games are against like number 27, 25, and 24 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
So
This was always in the cards, and I remember talking about this quite a bit when we kind of everybody was making their predictions with the season. I'm like, I just don't see a world where the Bears don't start out well because of how the schedule looks. Just because they're playing the entire AFC South on the front end of this schedule. Commanders, we didn't think the Commanders would be here at this point, even though I did actually pick them to win the division, funny enough. But I didn't think the Commanders were going to be there. We knew the Patriots. I think that's on their schedule. I think that's their one crossover. Maybe that's not right. But Arizona showing up on this, like there were going to be spots where they could easily win games if the defense carried over enough and the offense got into a rhythm. Week 11, the real season starts for them, and we'll see how that goes. Division games, San Francisco, Seattle, like they barely beat a beat up Rams team. Granted, Green Bay did the same thing. But
I do think that the cupcake schedule to start the year, and especially for the next few weeks here, might be exactly what the doctor ordered, though, in terms of them being able to fix all of their what's the word I'm looking for? Like just their execution errors.
Yeah. Yep.
Iron out the process.
For sure. For sure.
Quit with the procedural penalties, all that kind of stuff. Like getting to beat up some cupcake teams will do wonders for your ability to stop committing procedural penalties.
Yeah. Yep. It's true.
So
All right. Let's.
so this is our ranking from 2 weeks ago. You may recall. I'm just gonna, as the resident Ohio State fan here, I guess gonna go ahead and right away we're gonna bump up Oregon up here. They firmly deserve right here. Now look, Buckeyes lost a close one on the road in a very formidable environment. Credit to the Oregon Ducks for making it happen. This is 1A and 1B here in Tier 1.
Yep.
Until
game that went either way. Ohio State on the road. Yeah. Totally good there.
we do have to make a decision here with Penn State. Should Penn State go in front of or behind Ohio State, though? That's the question now. Because they clearly belong in Tier 1 as well. I do still hold that Bowling Green game against Penn State.
Yeah, I think they're behind them because we were very close to saying you have lost to USC this past week. Optics on that, not ideal, personally. So yeah, I think they're third. I think they got third in the AP poll. Okay.
I mean, I agree with the AP ranking for them there, but the way that we rank our northern teams here is different than the process you follow when you're putting together an AP ballot.
Yeah, Penn State would be like, I think 7 or 8 on mine. We've done this so many times, Penn State. We've done this so many times. It's like, they're the new Texas where it's like, are they actually back or no?
I mean, here's the thing. Penn State controls their destiny. They get to play Ohio State in a few weeks here.
They do.
And listen.
They do.
Take care of business, and the chicken is all yours.
Yeah, see, but we've been saying they need, they can take care of their business, and they're like, we've been here. We have been here. I'm honestly, I'm for their sake, I'm glad they have Washington at home because that feels like a road letdown if they had to go to Washington.
Sure.
Good news, they don't play Michigan this year. Good for them. That's helpful.
I mean, what would Michigan do to them?
Probably win somehow because Penn State in big games is just hilarious.
But would that be a big game though?
For them, a hurdle to clear that they cannot clear. Even though the Michigan, this is not the Michigan team of the last few years. I just feel like it's just that they have to clear the hurdle before I can give them anything because they just haven't done it. They just haven't cleared it. So
before we hop in and just start doing things procedurally week by week, I'm sorry, game by game, I have to take a lap here.
Okay.
Right. I know that Washington lost to Iowa this week, but you in the chat, and I can't see the chat, Jake, you gotta be shaking your finger at them for me.
We're still
in the chat were doubting Washington so hard, and they shellacked Michigan, and it was hilarious.
They did.
So here's what we're gonna do. There's a couple of moves we gotta make here. One is Washington, darn good team. And they're going straight to the top of Tier 2. Also, Iowa. Okay. Love the way you bounced back after the Ohio State game. Dropping a 40 burger on the Huskies. Holy cow.
Yeah. And a lot of money on that game because that was honestly one of the most obvious things.
That means I'm putting Iowa State at the bottom of Tier 1, and I think that Iowa State should be one of the top-ranked teams in the country via the AP poll. And the fact that they're like freaking 9th or something is ridiculous.
See, Adam Huddle disagrees, and I disagree with him vehemently.
What's Adam saying? Because I can't see it.
He says ISU and Miami top 10 is hilarious. I vehemently disagree about Iowa State. I vehemently disagree. with
You
that,
like
Adam.
Iowa State or you don't like Iowa
I
State?
like them. I like them.
I think they're crazy good. I think that
They're beating
the
up
big
teams now. This is that score wasn't that close. 28-16. They dominated that second half. It's just like they're strutting now. They're getting out and they're running a little bit or strutting or whatever you want to say. This is good football to watch with Iowa
well,
State.
Rocco Beck is the real deal. Rocco Beck,
Yes. Yes.
Matt Campbell, the head coach of Iowa State, said
Yes.
that Rocco Beck is running the offense the way that Brock Purdy used to.
Yeah, he looks this yeah, this is exactly where we were I think with Purdy. Cuz I think Beck is second year's starter.
Yes, that
Yeah,
sounds correct to me.
and after 2 years of Purdy starting, he was starting to creep on the draft radar. Of like, oh yeah, he's playing well over here. And that's where we should be with Beck as well. He is playing so well. They have good receivers out there. Like these guys are better than Hutchinson. They're up there with Butler right now, like in how they like just the way they're playing. They've got like an insane room of running backs that they can rotate. And we know how suffocating the defense can be when they're rolling. Like it's just the operation looks so good over there.
Let's take this through game by game. We'll skip a
Okay.
couple that we've already talked about, but Northwestern versus Maryland. This was a little bit of a funny outcome because wow,
Yeah.
why am I blanking on the Maryland head coach's name all of a sudden? I'm picturing his face right now. It's on the tip of my tongue. What's his face? Uh, took over play calling duties from Josh Gaddis, the offensive coordinator,
Yeah.
and he said that he felt like there needed to just be a change up. And they lost 3 fumbles and threw an interception and lost by 27 points. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And it was to Northwestern. Now I have liked what Northwestern's been doing. I don't think this is score is quite indicative of where they're going, but Mike Loxley and the Maryland Terrapins are stumbling and bumbling, and I didn't think that they were going to fall off this much without Talia Tagovailoa. They're having a challenging season so far, and that early season win by Michigan State over Maryland is looking less and less impressive. We'll just say that.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Tier 7. Since we ranked them Tier 7, Wisconsin and Minnesota have ripped off two wins, and then Northwestern just shellacked Maryland on the road. So that's
I,
interesting.
I do.
What a development for these teams in Tier 7. Minnesota beats USC at home and then goes and beats UCLA, beating Southern teams. Minnesota, a team who lost to North Carolina to start the season.
Yeah, you'll have to see it.
Okay,
They were
you
the
know,
only Big Ten team that lost in week one.
yeah, like
And I think I've
man,
been holding that against them all year. Now, I still don't think they're a good team, but they
no,
are better than how
they're
we have
not.
been treating them all year.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
So we got some
We got some
serious
movement
moving
here.
around to do for a lot of these teams. But as
Yeah,
far as Minnesota, would you put them ahead of or behind Michigan State?
oh, Minnesota. I might put them ahead of Michigan State. I
Oh,
just,
I
but
struggle with that.
I don't know. I'm
What about Cincy? Ahead of or behind Cincy?
Cincy.
I think right now Minnesota has been playing better the last few weeks than Syracuse has. I am
Yes.
putting them ahead of Syracuse.
Okay. I I think you can make an argument for either way for Cincinnati and Minnesota. Um. So I'm good with that. Uh. So Maryland's the only one in tier. Is everybody else moving up? I think Minnesota's fine there. I think we gotta keep it rolling.
I think I need to see Wisconsin do it one more time to bump them out of tier 7.
Okay.
So the question for me is, who do you think is going to win when Wisconsin and Northwestern play each other?
Where are they playing?
That's a good question.
Where are they
What week is
playing?
that? Like week 9?
Yeah. Let me see here.
No, it's next week. It's this coming
Oh,
week,
it's
week
this
8.
week.
It's
Oh,
at
okay.
Northwestern.
I think Wisconsin's going to win it, so I would put Wisconsin out of Northwestern.
So we'll put Wisconsin ahead of Northwestern, and Northwestern, listen up. Just think how funny it would be to be able to make us rank Wisconsin behind Northwestern again
You know what?
a
No,
week
we
from now.
gotta keep this bid up. No, we gotta keep this bid up. Wisconsin's still not good. They haven't proven anything. We gotta keep this bit going. We gotta motivate Wisconsin. Yeah, there we go. That's right. You stay right there.
I do
Northwestern's
think
better.
that
Northwestern's
I think
better
that
than you.
Wisconsin has some serious issues defensively right now.
Yeah.
But if the version of the offense that we've seen the last 2 weeks can continue,
Yeah.
they can win some more games. I mean,
Absolutely.
they are
Absolutely.
right
Absolutely.
now. I said that they were going to win 3 or 4 games this year. They're at 4 right now. So if they win
Yeah.
one more the whole season,
Yeah.
then they can laugh at me.
Yep.
Utah and Arizona State. So the big news, of course, right now is that Utah has lost their quarterback. Um,
Yep.
Man, I'm struggling with names today. So
Cam Rising.
they're Cam Rising. So the question has now arisen whether Cam Rising is gonna come back next year as a 26, I think, year old, 8th year senior. And like nobody wants to see this.
This is
And like,
correct. I
listen,
I'm out.
you can have all the sympathy in the world for a guy who missed time in
Yeah.
his college career due to injuries. But I don't want a 26-year-old playing college football. Can we not have a guy out there who's 8 years older than some of the guys he's going against?
These COVID eligibilities are getting absurd.
They really are.
We're 2 years away from it running out. Thank goodness. Um, but
Do explain to me though, even
Utah,
with
you
even with the
stink,
backup
bro.
quarterback in, how is Kyle Whittingham's Utah team losing to Arizona State?
I don't know, but Arizona State's starting to string together wins, so that's something. But yeah, that's inexcusable.
And
Goodbye.
they're a Southern team. Shame on you, Utah.
Yeah, goodbye. You're not staying in your tier. Goodbye.
Utah has been in tier 4. I'm sorry. I know it's Arizona State. Heck no. You're dropping out of tier 4. We're putting you down.
We're putting you down. That's it.
We're putting
We're
you
putting you down. That's it. That's all. That's all that needs to be said.
Dan Campbell was talking a few weeks ago about Frank Ragnow because he was injured, and
Yeah.
I think that the Lions put him on IR, right? Didn't they do that?
I don't think they did actually,
Either
because he
way,
was so insistent on like playing.
Dan Campbell was talking to the press, and he was trying to explain to them that Frank was not going to play for a little while, that he needed to rest and recover.
Yeah.
But he worded it in a way that only Dan Campbell could, and he said, "The best thing for us to do right now is to put him down." And I looked at it and I'm like, oh gosh, it's kind of harsh. I mean, surely there's
It's so
something we can do
funny.
for poor Frank. I mean, he already survived a throat fracture.
It's so funny.
So anyway, so yeah, we're putting Utah down. I think that it's probably too low, but we'll put it at the bottom of tier 5, and we'll sort some things out as we go along. So
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about Wisconsin. Listen, Rutgers is hurting right now. They're missing a lot of their best
Yeah, they are.
players. I feel for Greg Schiano. I think this year
I don't.
really
Figure it out.
could have been something special.
Figure it out. Okay. You know what? You just got to go win games sometimes. We talked a lot about Wisconsin 2 weeks ago, and I know you're hurting out there, but boy, I was hurting watching Rutgers play football, because it was Wisconsin, and I didn't think this was going to happen no matter what Rutgers was was trotting out there. So this is it's difficult.
Rutgers is going to get some of their players back, but they're not
They
going to
are.
get all their players back. Like I don't think Mohamed Touré is coming back.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yes, yeah.
I think I'm bumping Rutgers down below Notre Dame and BYU.
Okay.
And well, we'll get to them in a minute. The Big 12 is in an interesting situation right now because I think that it's a three-man race between Iowa State, Kansas State, and BYU.
Yes, I think those are the teams. I agree.
Let's see.
So
we talked Washington, we talked Iowa.
Iowa, yep. We talked Penn State.
So
Yeah.
Purdue, what the heck is going on with Purdue? Listen, you're our Illinois guy. We got to talk about this because this was kind of a crazy game. But Illinois finally stiffens up on defense.
I did not have a good time watching this, I'll tell you.
Illinois finally stiffens up on defense to
That was awful.
Prevent a 2-point conversion. Is that correct? In overtime?
Yes. It was a great call defensively. Had the linebacker who blitzed and ultimately forced the sack run with the running back pre-snap, and then just flat out blitz. QB probably saw man coverage, didn't think the linebacker was coming. Protection probably didn't think the linebacker was coming. Great play to seal the win.
It was also the first defensive play that Illinois decided to run the entire game.
Yeah, pretty much.
So thankfully they were playing Purdue, so it didn't matter. I like Ryan Walters and what he's doing there, but
I don't know why Illinois always struggles when Purdue is worse than them. But like this always happens. This has happened a long time.
I mean, I thought this was the basketball score at first.
The year they were cruising to potentially winning the West.
22
2 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah, 2022.
They were cruising to win the West. They played Michigan tough.
I was there at that game. I was so angry at Illinois.
Right.
So they were winning the whole game.
Right.
And then just crapped it away in the last 2 minutes.
Yes, and after that, they still had the driver's seat to the title game and then just pooped it away against Purdue and Michigan State. So Purdue seems to just have their number in a weird way. However, that defensive performance cannot fly. Again, Purdue just lost like 52-6 to Wisconsin. They're definitely, to me, Purdue way lower than West Virginia. I would put West Virginia over them for sure.
Well, I mean, the only reason Purdue was even doing anything offensively is because they decided to run Hudson Card into the ground.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, good luck sustaining that for even one more game before defenses key in on it in a way that Illinois should have.
Yep, that's true.
So we're demoting Purdue behind West Virginia, and we got to figure out.
Have to.
Purdue or Northwestern? I mean, it's debatable that Purdue. Needs to go behind Wisconsin here. Wisconsin beat them.
I think that's where it is. I think that's it. Yes.
Purdue, you can earn your way back out of the basement. All right.
Yeah. Hey, you got Oregon coming to town.
We know the pieces are there. If you beat Oregon, I will put you in tier 2. All right.
Don't know. I never promised this.
Beat Oregon.
Please don't lose by 50.
Come on, if you beat the number 2 team in the country, the number 1 team in the North,
I'm going to be wearing green and gold for Oregon on Friday, hoping they win by 75. Okay, I'm so sick of that Purdue universe. I don't like them at all. Okay.
We here on Derailed are famously unbiased,
Pitt.
And that's why you tune in.
Yeah.
Now hold on, wait, no, we're not talking about Pitt. We didn't demote Illinois yet.
Then demote them and let's keep moving so we can get rolling here.
It gives me no pleasure to do this, but Illinois has got to at least be behind BYU. I think they're still ahead of Rutgers.
Yeah, Rutgers is bad, and I'm over it. The big game this week, though, Illinois. Let's see what you got. It's
Okay, so let's
Michigan.
talk.
It's Michigan, by the way. So
Yeah, I tell you what, Illinois, if you beat
I'll be at the
Michigan,
game.
I'll put you in tier 2.
I'll be at the game. So it should be a good one.
See if you can spot Connor Stallions while you're there.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. He's gonna be
He's
on
been
one of
going
the, he's gonna be on one of the towers out there.
He has been going to all the games. So,
I'll look
Pitt,
for him.
what do you think about Pitt? Let's look at Pitt for a second.
Well, they're undefeated and ranked.
Yeah.
So
And
that's something. That is something, by the way.
How do I go back?
I would put them over Kansas for sure if they're not moving up a tier. Colorado, that's tricky to me personally.
I think Colorado is rolling right now. I'm not
Yeah.
putting Pitt ahead of
I
Colorado.
wouldn't, but I think you can put them above Kansas. Kansas to me is West Virginia smoked them. West Virginia also smoked Oklahoma State. We're going to be having a Kansas conversation, that's for sure. Let's see here.
Monologue for a minute while I get our teams
Yeah,
back.
no, Colorado, they've been playing well. JJ, I don't know what you think. I think you can make the pretty clear case that they're the fourth best team in that conference, without too much pushback.
I was trying to think who else I would put there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Kansas hasn't played well. Oklahoma State hasn't played well. Utah really hasn't played well. Arizona hasn't played well.
A week or two ago, I would have said Utah or West Virginia, but they're
right.
just.
Yeah, I think it's
it
Colorado.
Probably is Colorado.
I think it is.
I mean, since he's been playing well,
they have. But I think.
Yeah, I put Colorado ahead of them, and we have them ahead of them in our rankings.
Yes. Just thinking now about so Pitt's ahead of Kansas. We'll move that once we're going here. You're at 27.
I always get to 27, and then I cannot think of who to add.
You put BYU on there. That's
Syracuse.
There it is. Okay.
Now we're back at 28. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, Pitt, I think above Kansas. I think it's fine to leave them behind Colorado.
Now Kansas was on a bye this week, right?
Yeah, they were.
Kansas is on bye.
Struggling. Boy,
now what did they do last week? Because 2 weeks ago we put Kansas
lost Arizona
on
State. Lost Arizona State last week. See ya. Go to that tier behind, big dog.
Kansas, you're getting demoted.
I think you got to go to tier 6. You got to push them out. I think Cincinnati's better than them.
I think so too. I think Kansas is
West Virginia beat them. So there is that also.
So this is kind of tough. So these 4 teams, me, this is a tier in and of itself. Maybe this is.
Yeah, we're going back to. Unless you move Indiana up to tier 2, we're going back to 8. But maybe.
Oh, Indiana's absolutely moving.
Yeah. So we're good. Moving. I think we're good then. Indiana, I think we can stay at 7 tiers.
Indiana for me is ahead of Nebraska.
I agree.
Right now.
Yes, they play this week, right? That's the game.
Yeah,
I believe that's the game. Yes, it is. That is the game.
So that should tell us a lot. That'll be a fun game.
Yes, it will.
All right, so we got some teams here. Oh, that makes me sad that Michigan got moved up to tier 3. We're going to have to change that.
Good evening, Mike. Tyler saying the only winners from Northwestern Wisconsin are those who don't have cable. Chris N says, "What's up? Are you disappointed in Bullard's performance this far?" No, I think he's fine. I think just pushing it, relative to what Evan Williams is doing relative to his expectations, maybe it seems like that. But I think Bullard's
I think that Bullard has played well when he's playing at the nickel.
Yeah, I think Bullard's been fine. Has he been great? No. Has he been fine? Yes.
Tyler wants to change the Iowa's name to the Fighting Caleb Johnsons.
He does.
I mean, listen, they're already the Fighting Kirk Ferentzes. I don't know what the Fighting Ferentzes. I don't know what you want there.
Yeah, we'll have to think about that. But okay. So
Going back to week 7.
Where
Going
are
back to
we
week
now?
7. So we're looking at Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
I'm not really inclined to move them out of tier 3 yet.
No, I think tier 3 looks pretty good, actually.
Let me ask you a question: Notre Dame or BYU?
Notre Dame or BYU? It's a pretty good question.
Because I still think that BYU is firmly right in the thick of it for playing in the Big 12 title game.
Yeah, I'll go one further. I expect them there.
So that means that you see either Iowa State or Kansas State not making it there.
Correct.
I think
there's a chance because Iowa State, Kansas State last week of the season. I think there's a chance that's for the right to go. I do. So,
I think BYU has to go probably ahead of Notre Dame.
Okay. Works for me. Works for me. Cincinnati, we've kind of talked about. I think that's fine.
We're struggling a little bit with Michigan State and Cincy being a tier above these 4.
They need to be above Kansas.
But does Kansas actually need to be above any of these 3?
No, I think West Virginia is better than them for sure. They've already beaten them.
Here's the thing with Syracuse, all right?
Yes. What do you got?
I'm trying to think of who to compare them to that won't offend anybody.
That's fine.
Syracuse is like...
Listen, we've already said Wisconsin's, the conversation of Wisconsin relegation has come up. Whatever happens, happens. Send it.
Well, okay, I'll just say the thing that I think is going to make some people mad. Whatever, get over it. Somebody was making the comparison or making the observation that Donald Trump was talking to Putin and said, like, hey, I don't want you to do X, Y, Z. If you do, then I'll nuke you. And Putin's like, yeah, you're not going to do that. And Trump's like, but I might. And then Putin backed off because he's like, you know what? Like, Trump's actually crazy enough. Maybe he would. And I feel like that's Syracuse. Like, they're probably not going to do anything to you, but they might. Like, Syracuse is just, at any given moment, they're just going to go bananas. And so you got to play them carefully because that explosiveness is there. Like, Kyle McCord, I think, leads I don't think it's FBS. He leads some impressive group of programs in explosive plays. But he also is, really prone to turnover-worthy plays as well.
Yeah.
So this game that they played against NC State was kind of a boring game. It was pretty clean.
Yeah.
Not much happened in it, which is probably a good thing, except, along with the bad stuff not happening anymore, the good stuff stopped happening too.
Yeah.
I just think that, like,
leveled to monotone almost.
But also, it's not going to stay there. Like, they're going to go back to being a firecracker in a barrel in 1 or 2 weeks.
Yes.
Syracuse is a
strange.
firecracker in an old folks' home. That's what it is.
That's pretty good.
Their
When it goes off, it goes off, but other times it's doing nothing.
Syracuse's ceiling is being incredibly entertaining and going to a bowl game.
Yeah.
That's their ceiling.
Right.
And they make way too many mistakes to do anything more than that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I struggle with where to rank them in relation to Minnesota and West Virginia, who, like, I think Syracuse can jump up and bite a much better team. than Minnesota or West Virginia can.
Yeah,
But also, Syracuse could lose to Maryland.
that's true.
Syracuse could lose to a MAC team.
I think
But if
truthfully,
Syracuse played Georgia,
yeah,
I think they'd at least cover. I think they might
that's
almost
probably a
win.
mighty spread. That's probably a mighty spread if they played. So I think
Syracuse might play it within a possession.
To me, I think it's I guess Syracuse, Minnesota, or West Virginia in whichever order, and then Kansas.
Well, Minnesota for me is still ahead of West Virginia.
Okay. Yeah, I think you could convince me that either, but I think Kansas and Syracuse get flipped in tier 6, and I think that's your tier 6.
So you think it's Minnesota, West Virginia, Syracuse, Kansas
No, I was gonna put Syracuse first
ahead of Minnesota?
because the firecracker gives you that potential to be in first in that
All
tier.
right, here's what it is. You're the
Minnesota's
best team
not a
in tier
firecracker
6.
potential, right? Like Minnesota and West Virginia are going to win some games. They don't have the ceiling Syracuse does.
I mean, Minnesota, for all intents and purposes, did beat Michigan, and the refs robbed them on that ridiculous offsides penalty that didn't even happen.
Yeah, there was no offsides on that. That was strictly all right. This is protection scenario. We got to DEFCON 1. We got to stop this thing before something happens.
I'm really struggling with this. I feel like Minnesota has to be the top team in tier 6, and I'm struggling because if Minnesota and Michigan State played, there's just not anything in me that believes that Minnesota wouldn't beat Michigan State by 2 scores.
Yeah, I've made it very clear that I don't respect or think very highly of Michigan State at this point. So I'm not mad at that either.
Michigan, did we already talk Michigan State or Cincy? I think we had that conversation.
I think we did.
I just don't.
What has Michigan State done to this point? And what do they have to do?
They haven't fired any coaches yet this year, so.
Okay. Lose to Oregon, lose to Ohio State, lose to Boston College, beat Maryland by 3. Okay. Still left on Michigan State schedule: Iowa, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Purdue, and Rutgers.
They're going to win 3 of those.
3? Wow. I think
they're going to beat. I think they will find a way to beat Rutgers. They will beat Purdue.
Okay.
Man, I don't know how to pick Illinois versus Michigan State. That could just be a wonky game.
Yep, it could be, but I expect it to be 35-7. So, because again, I don't respect Michigan State. I think they're a horrendous program at this point. So I don't buy them at all. I think Iowa beats them by 40 this week, and I think Michigan promptly beats them by 40 as well the following week. So, yeah, I don't trust them at all. I think Minnesota could beat them tomorrow, no questions asked.
So there's a couple teams.
I think Wisconsin could beat them tomorrow, no questions asked, personally. But again, that's just where I am at.
Who's Kansas State's one loss?
Kansas State's one loss? BYU.
That's what I thought. Okay, so
significantly. That was like 38-9 or something. But okay.
So since we last talked, Michigan got walloped by Washington, who got walloped by Iowa.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
I do think that Michigan has to drop down to at least tier 4.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm tempted to put Rutgers down there as well, but we've already demoted them on this episode.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to think that Rutgers can live at the bottom of tier 3 for one more week.
Okay.
Kansas State to me is still in the same tier as BYU. They've been
Okay.
playing some good football.
Okay.
I think that this Kansas State Colorado game is interesting because to me it kind of elevated both teams, but also, you know, Travis Hunter got hurt, and do we know yet if and when he can come back? Do we know anything about his injury yet?
Let me see. This will be the
Last I looked at it, which was I think yesterday, we didn't know anything.
I don't see anything. I don't. As of okay. Apparently, Dion said yesterday Hunter, Horn, and Shepard are playing this week.
Okay, well that's good.
So now I don't know what will play entails. Maybe that means he's not playing both ways this week. Who can say?
Dion does not have the self-control to not let Travis play both ways.
It's probable.
So last week, BC lost to Virginia, and I don't think it's a particularly good Virginia team.
Okay.
Is it time for us to demote Boston College?
Probably, yes.
Do we want to demote them, or do we just promote Colorado?
I would move Colorado ahead of them, yes.
Colorado or Michigan?
Michigan.
All right. Now Boston College beat Pitt, didn't they? Already?
I was gonna say, didn't they?
Or something?
No. Pitt's undefeated, so they definitely beat Boston College if they've already played this year. They have not played yet. Last week of the season, November 30th. Because Pitt.
Well, Pitt is undefeated.
Pitt hasn't.
Let's put them ahead
lost
of
yet.
Boston College.
Okay. Yeah, Pitt hasn't lost yet. So
Utah or Boston College?
Ugh. Yuck. Has Boston College lost to Southern teams? Let me see. Because
they beat a Southern team. They beat like Mississippi State or somebody. Toledo beat Mississippi State. That was funny.
Boston College did lose to Virginia. They covered against Missouri at Missouri.
Missouri is terrible.
I mean, no. Purdue and Michigan State are terrible.
Michigan's or Mizzou
Utah's
is
lost
the.
to Southern teams. I don't like Utah for that. They've lost to Southern teams. That bothers me. Can't be doing that out here. Can't be doing that.
I kind of think our tiers are correct right now.
I think it's pretty good. Is there anybody else that was still? No, we got to everybody. There's nobody we didn't mention yet. So there are 6 tiers this week.
Are there any Wisconsin fans in the chat arguing that we should move Wisconsin up?
No. Tyler wanted to take his slander back for Wisconsin until they sucked again.
You know what? I want to do that too.
Ferentz should celebrate breaking Woody Hayes' Big Ten win record by punching his QB.
Oh, did you see Kirby Smart shoved
Andrea's a Wisconsin fan.
Mississippi State's quarterback? Did you see that?
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Nope.
Woody Hayes got fired for punching a Clemson player.
Yeah.
And I think that was deserved. Kirby Smart should be suspended right now. And he didn't even have to issue an apology. Like, there's 0 consequences here. The Southern media does not hold teams accountable.
Yeah.
If that happened at Michigan, if Sharon Moore shoved a player, he'd be suspended today.
That was insanely aggressive.
I mean, Juwan Howard Juwan Howard shoved who was it? It was the Badgers coach?
Yeah, that's right.
And got fired over it.
Yeah.
All right. The North holds coaches accountable.
Where's the accountability?
I mean, granted, Jim Harbaugh was never held accountable for anything, but I think that was a uniquely Jim Harbaugh thing.
I have no clue. I don't get that. That is nuts. I don't even know why he's doing it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Can you play the video?
Yeah. I can.
Go ahead and put the video on the screen here.
Andrea, we're ranking our northern teams. We do this every week. Okay. So here it is. Brandon Walker tweeting, Day 4 Kirby Smart is still a free man. Tagging Dateline. Look at this. Comes out of nowhere. Big time shove for like no reason at all.
You know what he said about this too? So he came out and made a statement. He's like, I didn't even know the player was there. I just needed to get through there, and I didn't even see him. And he's a good kid. And you know what he didn't say? He didn't say I'm sorry. He didn't say I apologize. He didn't say it was an accident.
He was, you know what it was? It was the fact that the corner who hit Van Buren out of bounds didn't hit him hard enough. That's what happened here. See, corner goes, just throws a little bit of a shoulder, and Kirby's like, man, you didn't hit him hard enough. You got to do it like this. And so that's like in-game coaching, I guess. It's just the worst example of in-game coaching. Like teaching your DB, like, hey, no. When he goes to the sideline, you got to hit. Like, we're not out here. You didn't get hit hard enough. Here you go. Like, that's the only explanation that makes any sense.
Look, the ref who at the time of the shove is in like the top right-hand corner of the screen. He's staring right at this the whole time.
I pretend I do not see it. That's what the ref is doing.
Two refs. There were two refs.
Look at the ref. Yeah, the ref. Look, this is
the one ref like grabs the player and is like, "Here,
refs have no.
Let's step out of Mr. Smart's way."
Did they? I was watching this on a 4 screen. I didn't have the audio. Did the broadcast say anything about this?
No. Nobody said anything about it.
Of course they didn't.
Imagine. First of all,
this is nuts. I don't.
Rolf's in the chat said he should have been flagged. Absolutely, he should have. I mean, that should have been a 15-yard penalty easily,
at the very least.
I will tell you, there are head coaches in the country who would have been ejected from the game for that.
The only way he could have said I didn't see him is if he like lightly bumped into him. That's it. There's only
his
one
arms
way.
Are down. He raises his arms, shoves the player.
See, like he is. I do think he's like looking. He's looking at somebody to talk to somebody. Perhaps the ref on the sideline. You see him looking that direction, but there's absolutely zero reason to be shoving a guy to get him out of the way. Like he is definitely looking at somebody to talk about something.
Yeah, no.
Then goes out of his way to then shove the QB.
Yeah, this isn't I'm mad at the QB for the play and therefore I'm going to shove the QB. It's I'm white hot with rage and you're in my way. Get out of my way.
For sure.
I'm so important and I need to go talk over here.
That's
imagine being at the supermarket and there's one last bag of hot Cheetos on the shelf and you're just happen to be standing there. You're not even going to grab it, but you're standing there for the shelf and Kirby Smart sees that there's only one last bag of hot Cheetos and he wants it. Can you imagine how hard you're getting shoved in that situation?
For sure. Yeah, you're listen,
I mean,
you might be down for a bit.
He is out of control right there. Yeah, like that is
yeah. This was like I'm angry. I have rage about something. I'm going to take it out on the opposing quarterback. It's just a very
Cheeto-less.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no way. You're not even touching the bag. You will not get a hand on the Cheeto bag. There's no chance. Just a very hockey. Just like didn't expect to see hockey in the fourth quarter of a college football game. That's all I'm going to say. Like this is very much what happens after an icing or somebody takes a shot maybe as the whistle's being blown in hockey, where it's kind of like you shouldn't be doing that. I'm bumping you after the whistle. And they let that go in hockey because, it gets chippy. This is on a sideline, not even like the play's over. Just insane.
Coaches who are unchecked and who are able to do whatever they want, they do run rampant.
Crazy. Yeah.
But when Kirk Ferentz is running rampant, he's not shoving players. He's hiring his son to a nepotism position where he doesn't actually have to do anything. When Kirby Smart is left unchecked, his players are not disciplined.
Yeah.
They're breaking the law every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And he's shoving quarterbacks who are
crazy,
who dare to get in his way.
That's why we're pro Northern teams over here.
And that's why the South can cram it.
Yep. Go North.
Go North.
That's why we're here.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging in here with us. We had a lot of fun. Appreciate you coming back to us after we failed to deliver last week. But I do want to say, I appreciate y'all so much for hanging out with us, talking Packers, talking Northern College football, ranking our teams. This has been so much fun. And until next week, when I can tell you this in person and all will feel right with the world, I want you to remember these most patriotic words that keep us beaming with pride.
Yes.
Northern pride. As Mr. God King Ed Policy, the late, great, beautiful Prince once said, go